Hey everybody, I'm Matt Hill. We're here in Pharaoh Energy Services and Assault Chemicals office, the office, OKC. You can look it up on Google and come down here and visit. This is our oil and gas speakeasy, if you will, our salon, our think tank. We hope that it brings people down here. This is the Talking Energy show for the Oilfield tailgate, so we can get a lot of exposure to. You love that. Get a lot of exposure for all the people that sponsor the tailgate. And anyway, introduce yourselves. Go around the table.
Go ahead,
Peter. Go ahead, start.
Yeah, my name's Peter Brecht. I started this little video podcast with Wade over here, and
so good.
Yeah, it's been fun. Just basically Q&A, oil and gas, mostly Upstream 101, and yeah, we'll talk more about it. But yeah, Wade.
All right. So my name is Wade Spear. Been working in the oil field since 2006. Started for Baker Hughes as an MWD, and eventually I ended up going back to school. Worked a few different places since then: Lynn Energy, Citizen Energy. Living up in Tulsa now, loving it up there. So.
Tulsa. You want me to introduce myself too?
Always.
Oh, well, I'm Josh McCollom. We're for Pharaoh Energy Services, and I'm glad to have the podcast studio here at the office at OKC.
It's been helpful.
Yeah, so I take care of engineering, sales, technical stuff at Pharaoh, business development, those type of things, and so networking. So it's pretty fun being tied with Matt. He's a network master.
Knows everybody.
He does.
Everybody knows him.
I'm so sorry for all of you, but I love you.
Well, this is a great place. I appreciate you guys having us.
I
had no idea this was here, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, and I mean,
Setup.
we'll get you key cards. You guys, anytime you're here, just use it. I mean, we consider like our ideas like, hey, go grab a bunch of tacos from Yucatan around the corner, bring them here, invite your anybody you're going to meet with, and you don't have to meet at a restaurant. Then you have this space,
right,
and we're protected. No one like me is going to walk into the restaurant and then like crowbar into your table.
You'd be welcome anytime.
I am. Right. I might be, but others are like, oh man, this guy calls me every day hoping I give him work.
Gotcha.
That's why you're so lovable and likable, Wade, is because you started off in the service side of things.
I got yelled at quite a bit. That's right. Yeah,
like,
I really feel like it kind of has given me a little bit of a unique perspective, kind of being on both sides of that coin right there.
And you're kind of back in that space a little bit. I mean, you kind of cover a whole lot of ground because you've got the engineering firm now,
right?
And you're also doing engineering projects, so you're on both sides, and you're having to do business development.
Yep, a little bit of everything. It's been a lot of fun though. Like when I was at Baker, one of the things I loved was getting out of the office, meeting tons of new people. I mean, just meeting Josh this morning, sharing kind of our history and friendships that that we kind of share as well. And so that's been a really fun part of kind of what we're doing now, and that side of it's getting out, seeing people, and also the work is different. I've been drilling Miss Woodford wells now for we kind of explored in some different benches, but we've been doing that for 8 years at Citizen, out there in Western Anadarko Basin, and now we're getting to work with some different operators and look at different areas, and so that's always a challenge and a lot of fun, and doing that with some new faces as well, and so I've really enjoyed it here.
I think the work. So I started at a service company too, and at Weatherford, and went to work there in 2004 out of Elk City, and then ended up transitioning, working for Chesapeake for almost 8 years. But you do have a very unique perspective when you come from the service side to the operator side. And now I'm back on the service side. And so you really get to see all different sides of it. And I wish that everybody that worked at an operator could work at a service company, because things would go a little better. There's so many moving parts sometimes, when someone says, hey, I need a crew out here at this time on this day, and it just shows up. That's what they see, right? And when you have that perspective of everything that goes into it, and putting that crew together, and then making sure that everybody can do what they do and all that, then when you move to the operator side, you're a little more selective of, I think, and mindful of who you've got coming out, because you understand that process. Right. You think that's accurate?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think what you're saying, they're getting that experience on both sides is important. being an engineer, like the time that I spent in the field was extremely valuable to me. Now, I was only in MWD, so I wasn't out there like throwing slips and doing all that stuff. But being around it, the sacrifice of being gone all the time, like
all the time.
2006 was just blowing and going. That's why I got a job, right?
You probably worked like 300 days that year in a row.
It was more. My last job was 5 months straight. I mean, we were on a well down in not Chickasha, Anadarko. On Bronco 11 for Chesapeake, actually. And there wasn't a day off for 5 months. The directional driller had been out there longer than I had. He'd been out there so long that right off a location, he had planted a garden, like a vegetable garden, and would make salsa and stuff from the stuff that he had planted. I mean, he was out there for about a total of 9 months. And that's just, straight work. Now occasionally if we were on a really long trip or something, I'd get to drive home. But, that gave me a little bit of a different perspective. And then there's one other kind of a weird belief that I hold to, and I think everybody should have to wait tables sometime growing up, because
Does bartending count?
I think bartending would 100% count.
Okay,
Yeah.
I made it.
But I mean, it gave me a different perspective on people. Just having to deal with somebody new every 20 minutes and being in the weeds, being behind, doing all that stuff. It was just It's horrible. It's crazy, but it was also awesome at the same time.
Awesome.
Mine was sacking groceries at United Grocery Store in Hobart, Oklahoma.
All right.
I got upset with my dad, so I quit the family farm. I was going to go make my own way, and it lasted about 2 months. And Dad, I'd really like to have my job back on the farm, because you do learn a lot about everybody when you're waiting tables or sacking groceries or bartending or whatever. And I think the biggest takeaway I got from going from the service company to the operator was understanding how to have conversations with people and communicate what I wanted, when they came to location.
Right.
Because I'd been on the receiving end of that, and you just get little bits and pieces, and then you show up and you're not prepared, or your crew's not ready to go. And so understanding what all goes into the back of it, I think you're a lot more prepared to actually call and order large jobs and really communicate and get logistics and things set up if you've worked on the service side, just because you've dealt with all those problems. And there's nothing worse than getting up at 2 a.m. and driving 6 hours to find out that you needed something at the yard,
Yep.
And so I think, and you can sort of tell too when you meet with guys in the industry that have worked on the service side and they're now at operators, they have different conversations sometimes. They're very detailed on what they want.
Yep. Setting expectations, communicating that, extremely important.
Speaking of detail, so I need your resume here. How did you get to where you're doing all this now?
Oh, that's a great question. I still wake up and wonder how I ended up doing. I mean, I'm in an oil and gas podcast right now, and this is kind of wild to me.
It always sets in.
Yeah, it does.
How are we here?
So my family had a car dealership that they ran for since 1986, and right out of high school, got a job as washing cars. That was kind of where I started, and moved my way up, helped manage the company. After COVID, family sold the company. My dad looked at me and he goes, "Hey," he's like, "Congratulations, you get to go do something else now." And I was like, "Okay, well, either stick on doing the car thing, or I guess find a new career." And I fell into insurance through a friend of mine that was helping him do some consulting, that building his business up. Started looking at their books. I've always been on the operations side, trying to make things kind of pencil and figure out how it works. And insurance was interesting. So a friend of mine, Derek Huddleston, who's an offshore engineer, started talking about oil and gas. And then collectively we met Mike Tangy, who owns Falcon West Insurance. And so Mike was like, "Well, let's build this oil and gas vertical and start," and he had background in heavier industries. So it's not like we were going into this blind, but long story short, I ended up sort of leading this charge. And I've always enjoyed the marketing and the conversations, but the bigger thing for me is that whatever I'm doing, I sort of get super obsessed with it. So with the oil and gas stuff, it's 3 years up to now, just studying nothing but oil and gas. If I can pick a book up on it or read a podcast or talk to people, and my wife she kind of smiles, but kind of doesn't, because it's I'm always just in a book or trying to learn something. So part of the reason we started the podcast was for my education, right?
I see that every time I watch it. I mean, you ask the best questions to wait.
Great questions.
Yeah, who better to get off in the weeds with, and because you guys get very granular on your content, thanks, to the good questions and what you bring to the table. I mean, you go from oil and gas 101 to, maybe a level, way deeper. So it's great.
Yeah. And I think I'm talking to, and there's people on the comments on TikTok or YouTube, or you go on Twitter. I mean, that's how I met Wade, was actually through Twitter, through another connection. He's like, you got to talk to this guy, right? So it's really cool to see social media and how it can actually connect things in a real way. Like our TikTok videos or YouTube videos, I have people that'll message me and be like, hey, can I call you? Can we chat? And I'm actually, I'll talk to someone in East Texas one day, and then, it's someone in North Dakota the next. So it's building those personal connections with people and like having those conversations. And they're like, hey, I want to know this. And I'm like, well, let's put it on the, the podcast or the video. So, but Wade is truly the mastermind behind it. I'm fortunate that he is willing to answer my questions. And another part that kind of plays into it for me is I have a 6-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, and I live in California. I married a professional surfer. She doesn't want to leave the beach. Totally understand it. So I'm traveling a lot, whether it's Houston, Oklahoma, it is what it is. But I look at my kids, and the state of California in terms of energy and all that is off the rocker. I mean, I got nothing else to say about that. There's a lot of great groups and people out there. Mike Umbro, for example.
I can't. I've got to get out there, and I've been out there a few times, and I just didn't line up, with my schedule to give him a shout because I mean he does great things. Yeah. Thank goodness they have somebody out there, champion energy from California.
No, he does a great job, and California's for energy and science. He's got that whole thing going. Yep. All the companies out in Bakersfield, Taft, but all that brought me to and helping Mike with some of those things, and just looking at his market and who he's talking to and who he's trying to accomplish, really brought home the fact that our kids, like my kids, aren't getting taught the meaning or value of energy, right? And so if I look at the necessity for it, like our state is out of control, but we all plug something into a wall socket every day. We don't know where that power comes from, and if that appreciation isn't taught, then unfortunately we're going to lose something that's more valuable, I think, than even our own currency. Because if you don't have power, you have nothing. So I'm trying to think in my head as I'm talking to Wade. I'm like, okay, I want to ask this question, but it's something where I want my son to be on YouTube someday, or even now, and be like, oh, there's dad on TV. And like, he'll watch this podcast and then he'll be stoked that his dad's doing something like that. Same thing with your kids, right?
Oh yeah.
But the reality is I want him to learn something from it, right? So if I can leave that behind and everyone that's in his age bracket can benefit, great.
One of the so I got to go out and tour like Long Beach and Signal Hill and the Thumbs Islands, and Bakersfield is definitely on my bucket list to go out there because I just want to support those guys. But one of the funniest things, just for shtick, but also I really did want to go out and celebrate them. The guys getting off the boats from Seal Pier, out there in Long Beach. Yep. I just imagined how often oil and gas, anything out there, had been protested before. And so there was a boat full of, guys coming in from offshore, and I was just out there cheering all by myself. It's, I'm sure, very awkward for everybody. But I was sitting there clapping like, man, good job. You guys rock and roll. And this guy gets off the boat, and I was like, could I interview you, real quick? I just want to get man on the street interview. I'm sure he thought I was batshit crazy because, like, I'm so proud of you for being out there. Thank you for what you do. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no one ever celebrates these guys. They go out there to the platforms, they work hard, and they come back in. And I just didn't want him to have a protest ever. I wanted him to have somebody out there reminding him he's doing great work.
That's awesome.
Talking to Peter and kind of hearing your experience from being out there and everything. And then yesterday, they hit on a little bit at the Mid-Con Energy Forum.
Yeah, wow. We came, I meant to bring that placard in with me so I can thank everybody that spoke and volunteered, the whole group that, of the industry collective, all of our advocacy groups here, the AAD, the SP, the IDC, on, do a great job of fundraising to give out scholarships to students. And then they came together, put that industry collective event together, the Mid-Con Energy Forum. Wow, we had a great speaker lineup. So thank you all for doing that.
Yeah, it was great. But, they kind of hit it on a couple of times, and they just talked about, I'm born and raised in Oklahoma. And so I think I take a lot of different things for granted, that the support that we have for our industry here, and then, Peter was sharing a little bit of a story yesterday. Like when you have an industry event in California, like there's a vetting process for your attendance because there's so many protesters and things that will come in there and kind of crash it. Whereas he's just blown away by the fact that the front door's open. to the
yeah.
Jones Assembly.
Yeah, the first question when I became a SIPA member was, where how'd you find us? Where are you calling from? What do we need to know about you? Can we look you? I mean, really, it was that kind of question. I was just like,
Wow.
Hey, I said I'm an insurance broker for an oil and gas company. Just want to be part of the community and check it out. Come to your conference, and she's like, well, we get a lot of groups that are basically hate groups because of what they do. So it's very interesting how that works out. And it is a lot different when it's like, hey, we're all going to go hang out at a brewery for a couple hours. It's a little different. So
I'm glad you're here. Have you met Lisa Morondo yet?
I have not.
Okay, I needed to connect you guys. And she sells insurance. She came from, chemical engineering.
Whenever I went back to OU, we were in the same class.
Yeah, a brilliant mind. I mean, she's fantastic. So many ways where I've always been impressed by my sister. I'm never even surprised anymore. But she kind of left oil and gas space to go help her husband build up their insurance company. But because she knows our industry so well, she's really made a niche out of. What did she say one time? She goes, well, I go in, she forensically looks through service companies, whatever. Like if I call for an insurance for most things, if I'm a service company or whatever, like I've got a fleet of trucks, I've got this equipment, I've got all these people, they'll get back to us like within a couple hours with a quote, which is terrifying, really. They don't know anything about us. And then she took like 2 weeks and she looked through everything. And she came in and go, you don't need this. You need more of this. Hours of explaining, breaking. She's like, hey, can you move this into its own LLC and then remove this part of the insurance? You don't need it over here.
Right.
And so I think there's very few people out there that can surround us kind of in a bubble of their understanding of what we do to possibly bring our insurance costs down, because that's what made me laugh. It reminded me, she goes, I, as an insurance provider, have to take this to an underwriter. There's not a whole lot of underwriters out there that want to touch our space anyway and put lipstick on this pig.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think in thinking through that too, we have very deep insurance knowledge as a brokerage, but when you go into another space, and that's part of the other reason why Wade and I got introduced, is we want to have a panel of people that are in this business that can help us understand a risk, right? So it's like, your sister has that knowledge inherently, right? Just by
She's not really my bio sister.
There you go. Either way, I'll run off of that. But anyways, so like most of the problems we find aren't actually within the policies. It's like, okay, your independent contract agreement's missing something that could protect you better, or the MSA, or those things. Those are outside elements that actually have a bigger impact, because any broker can go to the same carrier and get the same policy, right? But it's what are you doing with it? And then the other part too is, because I've been on the side where I'm the one buying insurance, right, for hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for an operation, the reality is I still look at it like a cost. So most brokers, and I think I mentioned this to you way last night, was there's brokers that'll look at it like, okay, it's just a renewal, it's just a policy, whatever. But for someone that is going to sit there and say, I know this is a cost, I understand this, and then let's dissect it and get into it more, there's a big part of that it's a cost management play at the end of the day, right? And I love negotiating with the carriers. I think that's fun. Like I really do. And you build those relationships with the carriers, but you also negotiate with them so you can get the best terms. So,
well, we hope there's more carriers out there that'll come into our space, because I have seen. I mean, look at the space I'm in right now. Helping the night fire specialists,
Right.
grow, and so more and more and more as our efficiencies have gotten better, safety culture has also climbed, because we know that, man, if we have any safety, downtime for whatever the reason, emergency, catastrophe, it's really going to affect the bottom line. Right. And so we increase those efficiencies as well to our benefit. It brings all kinds of costs down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. It's a holistic thing, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you seeing also, like, you think in the insurance market, I mean, the last 4 or 5 years has had this massive tide of like DEI stuff come in, especially with a lot of, major players on the financial side of everything. And so, do you think with that kind of receding a little bit, do you think that there'll be more options and stuff for oil and gas companies kind of moving forward? Like, will there be more people kind of come into this space?
So there's insurance, and there's like a whole nother layer of reinsurance that goes on top of that. So insurance carriers are reinsuring themselves, right? And that's played a factor, I think, for the past couple of years. And I think we've gone through a very hard market. I think certain lines of coverage, and this could get boring, but those will get easier to get. There are insurance carriers that are, want to dip their toe back into it. There's a few that are like, okay, we want to specifically go after these areas, this kind of business. So I think that's going to get better. But for us, we work with a lot of small to mid-sized companies. We're not looking, we don't work with the majors or anything like that, right? But our whole thing is we want to give back pricing power to those companies. And so when you're a small operation, you typically either get overlooked, you don't get understood, no one pays attention. They're like, the way that the negotiation gets approached isn't right. So we try to approach it that way. And I think that actually brings up a lot more options. There was a small example, pipeline contractor that was up in Pennsylvania. They came to us, and their broker had gone to probably 30 markets and, said, hey, you can't go to any of these carriers. They only release one quote to one broker. But if you have any others, great. So we went to 5 others, and we got quotes from 3 of them. So there's always a carrier out there, and it's all on how you tell the story. It's all on how you present the risk. It's on what is that company doing? What's the growth? All of those things play factors. So I think you have to learn how to tell a story, right? And I love writing, so I'm not really like doing these videos for Local Energy. I'm not a camera person. If you'll notice, the camera is only shoulder and up, right? I don't do a whole thing, but I love writing. So when we put together these risk analysis per se, they're 5 pages long, right? So not to bore anyone with insurance, but that's kind of what I love doing more than anything else.
There's no, I watch your guys' content every day, so obviously I'm not going to get bored.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. How often are you getting on and doing them? Is it every day almost?
No, so we record.
I'm catching a lot of snippets, I guess, too.
Right,
yeah,
that's mainly what.
Yeah, we record once a week for about an hour, and then I sit down and I edit clips out, and so we'll post the main video goes up on Friday, and then we have a newsletter that goes out, kind of talking about what we talk about, and then clips go throughout the week. So trying to figure out a format that makes sense, because
it makes sense.
Yeah.
You got me hooked like right away.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
he
you.
did, but
yeah, no,
you're likable too.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, and that's, I think, the part of it too that I enjoy is like Wade has this chemistry, right? That he's just very easy to talk to and has great answers. So
he's a oil and gas leader in Oklahoma now. He graduated up to where he's a mentor and somebody you can aspire to, young people.
Yes, I agree.
I think you're giving me way too much credit. All right, all the people who know me know so much better than that, but I appreciate it.
So what topics have you guys covered so far that you can remember? I mean, there's been a lot.
Each one of our conversations is really different. I mean, like, we don't really have a topic and we hit it. I mean, and like, I don't get the questions ahead of time either. It's kind of like just random questions that come up, and a lot of times it'll lead to more questions. So my background is
Pretty extensive.
well, drilling, geosteering, like that, but working at different operators, working on the service company side, provides me a little bit of different perspective. And I've kind of touched I did a very short stint on the production side. I've been in a lot of meetings with Reservoir and asked a lot of those questions and all that. So there's some stuff that I'm probably more qualified to talk on than others, but the questions, a lot of times the questions come from, people in the academy, or even lately, like, the first couple of weeks, I'm sure that you guys know this. Anytime that you post something online, like I told Peter, I said, man, the oil field is full of personalities and people who are not afraid to share their opinion, right?
I want people to like.
Absolutely.
I don't know if they got the thick skin for it, but if you're watching this, like, please roast me in the comments. That makes me smile. Like, bring the heat.
Well, like the first couple of weeks, I mean, like, we post something, I'm like, they're like, oh, this guy's a moron, is complete, and I don't quite have that super thick skin, so like, but I've been really encouraged, because over the last few weeks, like, there's people like actually asking real questions and stuff down there. I'm like, and that's what I love. I love having that back and forth and that conversation, because I just, I love the oil field. I love what we do. I love the challenges we face, getting to know the people that are out there working on these problems. And so kind of sitting around talking shop, kind of like what we're doing now, or what we do, on our quote unquote podcast, is
Gives you a platform.
So is it?
I love it.
Education out there.
Right.
And we have to do that. I mean,
Right.
And I don't know if we can reach, the college people right now. They might be set on their path, but man, what if we can get to the high schoolers, or the middle school kids, and go, man, mom, dad, I might start thinking about getting into energy. Keep my lights on in perpetuity.
My wife teaches 5th grade science.
Okay.
She's an elementary school teacher. And so when they start studying fluids and those kind of things, one of my favorite things to do is I'll go in, and she has a rotating schedule. So there'll be 2 different classes, and do an entire presentation on, teach them about viscosities and fluids. And I have like a little PowerPoint put together where, show the rig and kind of how it gets drilled and kind of explain, even though it's over their head, they still understand it.
Yep.
And then we kind of mix up some cross-link fluids, and they think that, that's just really awesome. Let them pass it around and put, go cup to cup with it and all those kind of different things, and explain to them kind of how energy affects their life kind of at the end of it. And then usually I'll get with some service companies or take some of our stuff and give little handouts, hats or pins or whatever. And if they can answer questions after the deal, but they absolutely love it.
Right.
And so I think that the education, and stuff like this podcast, everything that we're doing, I think people are hungry for that information. There's just not a lot of places to get it. So what you guys are doing to me is extremely important to just get people engaged, get them to understand, because for several years, I feel like the media's painted our industry kind of dark a little bit.
Negative light, yeah.
Very negatively. And so when people jump on and they see you guys' content and stuff on there, like, these guys are awesome, this is fun to listen to, and then they start understanding it and learn. And, it's flipping things around a little bit, because we can't do anything without energy.
Right.
I mean, and it's going to continue to get worse. You saw the slides yesterday. I mean, with AI and data centers, especially the natural gas market, it's just going to incrementally go up as there's nothing to replace it coming down the pipeline, no pun intended. And, so I think the education and there hasn't been, 10 years ago, there wasn't, I don't know. I can't even name an oil and gas podcast that I could listen to.
Right.
I can't.
Really?
There's not mine.
Go ahead.
So last night, I want to, man, because you can get granular on some stuff, and that's, one of the reasons I was excited in here, because, we'll bounce that, hey, everybody go out and get educated. So, I challenge everybody to go on your news sources and click, to follow everything energy you possibly can. And just give yourself a daily update of what's happening in the world around, our space. But, we were fortunate to have some really intelligent speakers up there who are leaders. So what was your takeaway from last night? What are you looking at this year in oil and gas that's got your, kind of brain going? Is it natural gas? Is it going out to like James Head is now going to take over a lot of property, because his private equity, was announced, pretty publicly that, hey, the private equity firm is going to grab all this acreage from Conoco and then, give it to Flywheel to operate.
Right.
And then Mock, that's gone through now.
Right.
They're going to get all that acreage under them. And so all of that firm, for me, I get excited because surely, Flywheel is going to look through all that and go, man, there's a bunch of this stuff we don't want. We got it, and now we've taken a look at it. We don't want it, but that gives us pockets of acreage that maybe a small group of people, that was nothing to them, but to us, that's going to put us on the map to, learn how to start an oil and gas company and go out and maybe drill a lot, smaller AFE, budget and complete it.
Yep. And some of the stuff that stood out to me yesterday was being from Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma is, I say it's primarily a gas basin. We've kind of talked about this. The Cherokee Shale out there is kind of changing, bringing a lot more of an oil mix here. But as what we see in the Permian kind of, I don't want to say, as production out there and activity out there kind of decreases some, we've started to see all this M&A activity in Oklahoma really start to heat up. And we were part of that. Validus coming in here and purchasing Citizen Energy last year.
Yep.
And one of the things that was interesting was what Cameron was talking about. He mentioned, we talked about data centers and all this stuff and increasing natural gas demand. Well, that would be great for Oklahoma. But one of the things I hadn't really thought of was how, he kind of talked about that being a little bit hyper-focused in certain areas, like where those data centers are is where that energy is going to need to be. And, he was really pushing, we need to do things in Oklahoma to make that a reality here.
We need those, man, it was driving me crazy all night. Why is our natural gas going away from us and powering data centers other places? Why are we not building those data centers right next to the source?
Yep.
there's a few going up. There's one going in Stillwater that Google's putting in. They bought the old tile manufacturing place. I think it's a $6 or $7 billion project. It's going to use as much energy as the entire town of Stillwater.
That's why they're going to have to be funded by natural gas companies.
They've put a brand new natural gas powered booster station called the Ripley Number 1 station. It's north of my house, about 4 miles. And it's got a giant turbine with Siemens Energy. It's got a giant, one of their largest turbines is set up there. But they're supposed to be just a peak plant. I've been told that it will more than likely become a full-time power plant. And so those guys are in the state, but winning the giant contracts for some of the data centers that are going on in Texas, and especially over by Amarillo, like, that's something I wish our state would focus on, is getting more of those in. There's a lot of jobs that go into those. Right. And it's here. The gas is here, so... And it would make sense.
Like you're saying, it would be tons of jobs. And, there was another slide yesterday that kind of stood out to me, and it was talking about number of stages per frac crew per quarter, and it was like this. I mean, it was just a linear line increasing up and to the right. Mm-hmm. And so essentially, whenever I look at that, it's great, right? Because being efficient is what we need to do, right? I mean, I've been at companies, and we've all seen companies that have gone bankrupt in oil and gas in Oklahoma because of inefficiency. But when you see that too, I mean, I looked at that and I thought, what that means is that we need less crews to maintain the same level of activity that we had 3 years ago. And so, if we're going to continue to increase, if we're going to increase the number of jobs that we have in the state while we're also increasing efficiency, we've got to have a need for that power, and so yesterday that I hadn't really thought about it before, but with all of that energy consumption being very hyper focused around those data centers, like, I think Cameron said it, like, if, they're going to go wherever the benefits are the best for them. And right now they're going to places like Texas or all that. There's another podcast I was listening to the other day, driving back from Georgia with my daughter, and they were talking about like small nuclear reactors, in order to provide those power sources. And I thought that was a really interesting in terms of...
that's coming.
Right. I mean, that was competition for what we're talking about here in terms of providing power through natural gas.
Energy addition. I mean, hey, look,
right.
Those data centers, I mean, if I was a data center, I'd want power from the grid available. I'd want wind, I'd want solar, I'd want a nuclear reactor, I'd want my own natural gas well out there so that thing never goes down.
Yeah, it can't be intermittent, right?
No, like, hey, this is going to, and probably even adding battery backups as my last source as well, just so that, I mean, just that clean amperage at all times, constantly feeding my whole data center. But I would like, anybody out there that has a lot more knowledge on data centers, why are they so big? Why can't we make, a bunch of, smaller data centers per pad? Like, hey, every single pad in Oklahoma probably has gas associated. Could we tie all your data centers together and make them more microgrid focused in Oklahoma? Like, how many pads in Oklahoma do we have with wells right now with gas coming out?
Oh man,
anybody?
I don't even. I mean, it's a huge number,
right? But I love those kind of numbers. Like,
right.
I want to know how many oil and gas pads we have producing, and then how much gas is coming out of each one. And then could we turn that into power and power a hash hut, from Adam Oltorf, have you seen his stuff in Colorado? So there's generators now that will use any kind of gas that's coming right out of the wellhead. You don't have to scrub it and clean,
right.
It'll just power whatever. And he's put that generator inside the hash hut to power all the, miners.
I'll have to check that out. That's cool.
It's very, it's just, half a Connex box kind of size
right.
deal. And like, we could do that same thing with data centers, or if it's a really good gas well, we could have a micro data center. We could have that. We could feed that back into the power lines, power. I mean, I just want to save the wells in Oklahoma and go back to look at all of them and say, man, if we already have the pad there. We already have the well bore. We have all the power lines out there, the tank batteries. I mean, so much money got spent on the infrastructure for that well. Why would we scrap that, ever, when we have an opportunity to just build out what we already have on there, especially out remotely? Like, hey, put your little data center out here and tie them in together.
Right. Yeah, you're going to have to.
Can we do that as an engineer?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, there's some of the initial things I think of is like I followed a random Twitter account who was very anonymous, but they were doing exactly what you're talking about. Like out in somewhere in eastern Oklahoma is what it looked like to me was, they had a Connex box with miners in it and they were running gas to it. The challenge I think over time is, power consumption. How much are you going to need, right? Like one well, maybe one good well, fine. Like maybe that's enough. I don't know that answer, but I do know that wells decline over time. Right. And so like you can't put it here with this one well. Like you've really got to be, I think of something next to like a midstream or something like that.
A gathering facility.
Exactly.
Tap into something right there at the gathering facility.
Exactly.
How many gathering facilities do we have in Oklahoma? There we go.
I'm not a midstream guy. I know of at least a few. I mean, we owned a few. But.
I know, but if you ask him, an engineer, he'll find all the answers I asked for later. He'll have like a spreadsheet of
you go and research, like get on drilling info.
All the questions you asked me, I came up with a spreadsheet for you.
I bet ChatGPT could tell you pretty fast.
I know, but it's funner if he makes a spreadsheet.
And it would find the answer. Power.
Well, look at that, man. You start using ChatGPT, and now you're going full circle. You know what I mean? You're using your own product here to help yourself out. So.
Yeah, and so
I just hope we're not a decade away from the Terminator movie becoming real.
We're probably already there, and we don't even know
I
it.
think it's 5 years away, honestly.
Well, Elon's out there making the robots and stuff now.
So
I love conspiracy stuff, and like there's also like the Matrix is like post Terminator.
Yeah. Well, what's scary is I was reading an article.
That, right?
I haven't seen that yet.
I was reading an article the other day. So, like one of the new things is they're writing all these different AI codes and software, and then they tell it to shut down. So right now, 7% of the time, the data centers generate their own data and do not shut down. 7% of the time, and they said it could incrementally like climb up to where it's smart enough to say, okay, well, we're not going to shut down like he told us to, and it rewrites the code to stay running. Which 7% doesn't seem like that much, but that was a little bit alarming. I was like, surely they'll get this fixed.
No, they're not.
At that point, you probably just have to pull the power.
I just want my flying car.
You just want like the Jetsons.
Yeah. All right. So, how can I promote you guys? What are you up to right now? Atlas.
Yeah. So doing some consulting work through Atlas, working with a number of guys that I've been working with for years and all that. And so we've been, just taking our experience that we had and trying to work with operators around the state and even outside the state. But we've definitely a lot of our experiences here in Oklahoma and it's been really good. It's been great to get out there and meet people. I really enjoy things like yesterday. Getting to see a lot of the people from Oklahoma City. Moving to Tulsa 8 years ago, I felt like I kind of lost touch with a lot of people around the metro. But days like yesterday are awesome to kind of get to talk and meet people and new people and all that stuff.
You could host a party like that once a month, easy. It's not that hard.
Well, you got the space right here too, right?
Yeah, so. Come on down. Yeah, there we go. Like
every
absolutely.
third Thursday, let's just have one of those get-togethers here.
Yeah, it's not like required like a excessive amount of sponsorship money. We just all buy tacos and hang out.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get a lot of work done that way too.
Local Energy sponsoring tacos at the office, OKC.
We'll bring the hot sauce.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Send me hot sauce.
And I don't mind sticking it to insurance companies just a little bit anyway. Like if an insurance company wants to buy me tacos,
you're not going to turn them down.
No.
No, why not? Yeah, I mean, we're on YouTube. We're on TikTok, which I didn't think I'd ever be on TikTok or say that out loud.
I had to download TikTok after he was telling me about it. I was like, okay, I guess I'm not going to hold out any longer.
You guys got to follow them on TikTok. They have all the dances, all the viral dances. They're so good at them.
Now you're lying. I tell you what, though, like I was surprised how many, like guys in the field, it is like TikTok crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's what that is the platform that all the consultants and directional drillers and all this, like whenever I got on there and downloaded it, and you can use it to suggest contacts. I was like,
oil and gas.
90% of the guys that I have contacts on my phone have a TikTok account and are pretty active. I was blown away by it.
I saw, I've become, luckily fortunate for me of all the podcast guys like Chuck Yates, Chuck
Right.
Yates, job, I followed him early on. He came on my show and I love all those guys. And one of the best times he spoke here in Oklahoma City, he told all the guys at the Wildcatter meeting from the petroleum lines, he goes, set your people free on social media. Like don't govern them. Don't worry about it. Yes, they're going to make, some mistakes and some hiccups, but, don't hold their feet to the fire for all the, obviously there's some stuff you can't do, but, remember they're proud to be in oil and gas. They're proud to be at the company they work for, and it's energy education. So set them loose, not just say, hey, clear that with us before you put it out, but just say, man, you guys get to work and put it out there that you're in oil and gas, and go. Bring the next generation in. I thought, man, that's great advice.
There's a lot of great people out there, and like the more you get to know them, it's an amazing industry, and more people should know that. You kind of talked about being painted in a negative light. Every industry in the world has some bad players, right? But I mean, oil and gas there's so many amazing people.
The solution industry. Right. We're not just oil and gas. We're the solution energy. We're the solution to all problems. Energy engineers.
I like it.
Well,
I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah. I didn't coin that.
Did you steal that?
Lifted it from somebody.
I stand on the shoulders of giants.
You didn't have to tell us that. We thought you had an intelligent moment. You didn't have to tell us you stole it.
I always remember, I probably stole it, but that's fine. At least I curate it. Right.
That's right.
Yeah. It was still good.
Look,
you're winning hearts and minds over here.
I curate really cool people together. Poor Wade was there with me yesterday. I was like, "Oh, we got an engineering firm. We have a drilling rig.
Started a company there."
Yeah, well, Power Rig. They've got a couple. It's rare that Power Rig in Jordan they have any rigs available anyway. So I was like, "Man, you guys have rigs available? We've got boom, boom, boom. You pull 5 people together in that room, you've got a new oil company." I did notice, by the way, where's all the private equity guys last night? They weren't there to shop around and put people together.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to pull me onto your private equity team, I can put people in a room together and you got your next oil and gas adventure going on. That's scary.
I trust you.
We had one hole in one well. We're gonna drill for every possible resource down there. We're gonna bring it back. I went there's something. Do you know about the? Yesterday, I kind of learned about the fishbone, the fishbone wells where
multiple horizontals from one.
Yeah,
vertical well bore.
Yeah, horizontal. Okay, so but it's fascinating. I think, okay, well, these guys are working really hard. The more time you can stay in that wellbore, the better for efficiency. I'm not having to move the rig. Everything's here.
Yeah.
We're already drilling. And so we've continually, drove out further and further. And now these guys are like, okay, well, instead of one wellbore, we have multiple wellbores in the same, zone. And it looks kind of like the fishbone.
Well, there's another topic for next week, Wade. So
I'm gonna have to really research that one. I want to say that I'd heard about some stuff like that, but they were targeting different stratigraphic levels. So
Probably, yeah.
Bakken, Three Forks, and all
Especially
that.
in the Antarctica Basin.
That's true. Lots of different opportunities.
Yeah, right there. You're like, oh, what do you want to drill for? Because if we go this way, it's a whole nother reservoir.
But that also, I don't know. I always think of the problems first, right? And so that also scares me because I'm like, man, say that you have 2 or 3 horizontals producing out of one vertical. That one, you have a casing leak in your 7-inch or your intermediate casing or whatever. You could lose a whole lot of production, a whole lot of volume from one single problem.
You don't.
All eggs meet one basket.
You won't make any mistakes. It'll be fine.
It'll be perfect. That's
every
right.
time. Yeah, I throw caution on the wind. You're an engineer. You want to go see if you can do it.
There is a draw to the challenge. All right, there very much is a draw to
Every
that
single service guy in the world's like, man, as soon as I take it out to this guy, because not you in particular, but there are guys we all know. If you bring your equipment out to them, they are going to hammer on it until it dies, just to see. I kind of didn't need to know where it fail rate at. I'm like, we already did that for you. That's why the parameters on the spec sheet were there. We already tested it to failure. You didn't need to go.
What kind of safety factor you got in your number, though?
We already had it written down for you, but we might have been wrong.
If you build it, they can tear it up.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well, I want to. Okay, so how do you want people to get a hold of you? Do you have a website yet for Atlas Engineering?
Yeah, it's atlasecm.com.
atlasecm.com.
Yeah. Call, text, whatever. I'll always answer the phone. So
Are you the one that answers the phone? Is the phone number's not published on it?
We all, we all work together and communicate all the time and everything. So,
Who all do you have there right now beside you?
so it's me. It's a number of guys from Citizen is what it was, and so like me and Cliff, Robbie, Barkley, Ryan. I mean, we've kind of got it covered from
Everybody loves Barkley.
all the
I'm glad
operations stuff. Yeah,
glad he's
and
on your team.
I didn't, meeting Josh today, him and Barkley go way back. So, so that's it's a pretty great team to work with, and we've been having some success and enjoying it. So.
Bring them lunch. They're in Tulsa. They have open door policy. They allow people to bring them tacos
Yeah, definitely.
all day.
Yep.
And what about you? How do you want people to get a hold of you? What's the website?
Our website for the podcast, so to speak, or what's may turn into a podcast is it's localenergy.io.
Localenergy.io.
Yeah, couldn't get the .com. It was a couple grand more.
IO seems a little cooler anyway.
Yeah, I think so. So we'll see.
It's nerdier. Did you go out? So I always give that advice. Whether you use the platform or not, you go and grab at least the name on every platform that you possibly can.
Yep.
If you never even use it, at least some knucklehead out there doesn't own it when you finally want to.
Totally. I love building websites and doing social media and all that just as a hobby. So it's one of the first things. I'm like, got to get a website up.
How many domains do you own now?
I can't tell you that.
I own 150.
You've got me beat. That's pretty good.
I mean, they're like $12 a month, and you get addicted.
I know. So I have like 4 domains that I like obsessed over for years, and then I finally got them, and I'm just like, I can't let them go. It's weird.
So is this like an investment strategy for you? You're like, I think that one's going to hit, and someone's going to buy it. And I'm
No, it should. That would be smart, right? But it's me. I'm just like, oh, maybe I should. If I have oilfieldtailgate.com, I should also have oilfieldtailgate.net. And then all of a sudden, then they start adding everything behind it. You're like, well, shit. I don't want anybody to have this.
And then you get the AI generator one now. Like if you go on Pork Bun, and like that's where I get all my domains, they put it in, and then they're like, you should have this too. And it's really bad. It's an idea guy problem.
That's exactly what I was like. I was like, the level of idea guy you are is probably directly correlated to the number of domains that you have.
That's
and
so
also
true.
how much it's like, because at the end of the year, you're like, I'm spending like $2,000 a year.
It's a write-off.
It's a write-off. Yeah. Everything. Yeah. Everything's a write-off. Well, thank you all for doing this. Appreciate you very much. Local Energy. And what's the website again?
AtlasECM.com.
AtlasECM.com.
Yeah, and I built engineering, consulting, mechanical. But I built a website. It was one of the first ones I built. I'm pretty proud of it.
What'd you use?
Got some Wix.
Yeah.
Wix. It's got some nice videos up there.
It's perfect.
It's just a landing page. Is really all it is.
That's all anybody needs. Hey, if we have a website and you can run it yourself, you just save so much money doing it yourself. Mm-hmm. And Wix is a great platform.
I enjoyed it. It was pretty easy. Yep.
There we go. Josh, Pharaoh Energy Services, The Office OKC.
Pharaoh Energy Services. It's pharaohenergyservices.net. It's our website. I helped build our website also.
All right.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, putting everything on there. It was kind of a fun process. So, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. So hit me up if you don't have my contact.
Yeah, we're all
easy
on
to find. So
that's the easiest way. That's probably the only people watching this right now is our friends on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Hey, and please, everybody, I'm really doing my best right now to get the tailgate party sponsored. Coming up real quick is the football season. There'll be 7 parties in Norman, and that's oil and gas people there. It's just us, and we'll have food, drinks, music provided. About 700 people come through there, in total every game. It's gotten, it's grown. So please be a part of it and sponsor oilfieldtailgate.com. If you go to the website, there's a banner right at the top that just lets you click on it and it goes to Eventbrite. There we go. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
God bless. In here, I've learned to give ourselves a couple seconds. Say something.
something.
Sing something.
No, I'm not going to sing because you'll post it. You do it every single time. Yeah, this is what he does. He tricks you into. Yeah.
All right.
Can you sing a little note for us and just make sure you sound good, and then he'll play it.
We need to tune it in. All right.
Yeah, that's
We could all. I mean, we could all do like a barbershop quartet deal. Anyway, all right. Give me something. Recite a poem.
I don't think I know any poetry, honestly.
Mary had a little lamb.
Oh man, I don't. I'm not that good.
You know, nothing.
I have like a horrible memory.
You know, what do you like? What do you, so you never sing to your children or in the shower?
He's
Never.
trying to trick you. Don't
Yeah,
fall for it.
no, I don't.
The persistence is impressive.
But just like see if anybody forgets. Even in a short amount of time, I can get Josh. He has that short-term memory thing.